Hey guys, it's Jack here with Soleus. Today I'll be showing you a basic overview of CyberAIO, the ins and outs, and just how to get that payment success on a release. So first off, we'll begin with the task page. So this is the ins and outs of your bot right here. This is where all the action's going to happen. So you got to pay attention here. So first off, we'll start with add tasks. This is the most important part. This is going to make or break your release. So you have a large variety of sites to pick from. You can just search them in the search bar at the top. So let's say I want to do social status. It brings down a drop down, keywords, URL. Okay, so we'll start with the size. So the size you select is obviously the size it's going to choose when you run that item. If you're not sure what type of sizing you want, you can just use random. So in this case we will. And then for keywords or URL, the keywords are very simple. So if you want it to be a positive keyword, you type just the word and then enter on your keyboard. Doesn't matter if it's capital or whatnot, it'll still pick up fine. If you want it to be a negative keyword, meaning to avoid an item with this in the title, put the minus sign and then the name and then click enter again. Login and password. So login is if the website requires a login, such as undefeated. So you just put your email and password there and make sure it's enabled. Meanwhile, password is if the password is up on the Shopify web store and it'll type in the password if you have that information right and bypass it for that task. Next, let's move on to checkout profile. So you could use all profiles, which will make a task for every single profile you have, or in this case we're just going to use one. So my test profile. The amount of tests is this selection right here. So if you want 5 tasks, it's 5, and then you just click add tasks. Specific proxy, that's if you want a specific proxy for the task that you're creating. And scheduled start is to schedule the start. So you can click the day as well as the time, AM, PM, etc. So we're going to not enable that for now. But also, if you are enabling a timer on a task, you're going to want to start the task beforehand because it's not going to start automatically. It's going to have the waiting and the countdown. So make sure you do that. Next, moving on, we're going to go into the captcha harvester. So once you start your tasks, some tasks are going to require captcha depending on the website. So you're going to want to have it open at all times just in case a site all of a sudden does require captcha or whatnot. So you simply click this here. Make sure this is open before you start the release. There's solver 1, 2, 3. So in your case, it'll just have solver 1. So if you want to add an extra one, you just press the plus right here, and you can add as many as you'd like and continue on to another page right here after 5. But the proxy is what proxy it's going to be on. So if you just copy and paste your proxy how you normally would, have it in your bot right here and click the check, and it'll run that captcha harvester on that proxy because you don't want to get captcha banned, which can happen if you run too many harvesters on one IP. So I recommend using some with proxies and some with your localhost, which in localhost is your home IP. So if you type localhost the check, it'll use your home IP. To log into your captcha Gmail, you're going to want to click Google Login. It'll be prompt you with a Google Login. So for my example, we'll use one. Okay, so once you type in your correct details, I suggest using the 25-hour timer or 100-hour timer, etc. That way, the longer the video, the less attention you'll have to pay to it, essentially. So, but make sure you're logged in before you start a release because it won't always save your Gmail logged in the captcha harvester. So make sure that's all set, and then once you're logged in, simply click this again, and you'll be waiting for the captchas right here. So if you want to get rid of that Gmail, you simply click clear cookies, and if you click back, it'll be logged out. Moving on to start all tasks, the best thing. Just to show you how that process works, I'm going to show you an example of a task with captcha. So if you want to start a task individually or just start all, you press start all right here to start each one, but I'm going to start just one task. So when you start the task, it'll automatically pick from your range of proxies that you put in your proxy tab, which we'll get into in a little bit. But if you start the task, it'll find whatever your product is, submit order, but then I get a captcha here. So in this case, you'd solve it because I didn't get a 1 click, but your Gmails, hopefully you'll get 1 clicks. Anyway, that goes over a task with captcha. Meanwhile, if you'd like to edit a task after it's already been created, click this little pen right here, and you can edit exactly what we talked about in the beginning about how to create a task, and you can edit it all right here instead of having to go back and make a new task. As well as if you want to delete a task, you simply click the trash icon. Moving on to link change. This can be extremely key in the difference between copying or not. So if, let's say, your keywords don't pick up, or they do something funny with the keywords and no one's keywords work, you're going to want to go to your monitor or go to the page, the correct link, and copy that link, click link change, and then you're going to want to just simply put it in right there. So that's just a Discord webhook right there that I was using, but you're going to want to put the actual product link and it'll change every single task. So let me pull an example link for you. So this one's from social status. See, and then it changes every single one. And then you simply want to start task again. Moving on to proxies specifically. So the proxies tab is where you incorporate all your proxies for your bot, which the tasks will use automatically and rotate through. So if you want to add proxies, you simply click add proxies and type them in the list here, going down one by one, etc. Then you click add proxies. If you want to test your proxies, you simply click what platform you'd like to test them on. So in this case, we'll do Shopify, test it individually, or you can test all, and it'll scroll through all of your proxies and test each one slowly one by one. And you can also use custom site, which is helpful if you're not using one of the sites that it gives you the opportunity to test on. So you just input whatever link you'd like and you can test on the proxy right there. As well as if you want to delete a proxy, you click the trash can and clear all proxies. That obviously gets rid of them all. Moving on to billing. Billing is a very crucial step, obviously, because if you do something wrong here, it could throw you an error at checkout or could mean the difference between you getting declined and whatnot. So obviously you're going to want to input all your details. So I'm going to show you my test profile. So you put the name of the task here, email, phone number, 10 digits, excuse me. First, last name, credit card, number, expiration date, CVV, then delivery details, first, last name, address 1 line, address 2, such if you live in an apartment or whatnot. This is your zip code, city, country, and state if applicable. The billing details, that's simply click here to enable it, and that's solely if the billing details are separate from the shipping details. So in my case, I'll leave that out, but that should be self-explanatory. Same thing with shipping details, but put your other details there. One checkout per profile. If enabled, it'll only check out once on this profile out of all your tasks. So that's if you don't want to get multiples on that specific profile. As well as a little thing not a lot of people know about is if you click up here, it'll see whatever your address line 1 is and jig it for you automatically. So see how it's rotating through a bunch of different things. That'll still work. So it'll still get to this address. Unless you're living in an apartment, you don't want to change this because then it won't get to your apartment. But other than that, it's fine. But so obviously after you do everything with this, make sure you click save. And that way you'll be good to go. Finally, moving on to the last tab, settings. So this is your key. Obviously, I won't reveal that. Reset license is to deactivate the bot. Monitor delay and retry delay. Probably the most important thing in the settings tab by far. So your monitor delay is how fast it's going to be monitoring with those specific tasks. So before a release happens, you're going to want to be using a high delay so you don't get banned. And then when a release is imminent, you're going to want to drop that delay down. I suggest around 500 ms, but it all depends really on how many proxies you have. If you have a good amount and a low amount of tasks, you can drop it from as low as 300, 200, but you got to make sure you have the proper amount of proxies to task ratio. Retry delay, I suggest keeping that about the same, so that is how often the task is going to retry if it runs into an error, and monitor delay is how often it's refreshing to pick up whatever you're trying to do, or pick up the item, for example. Captcha API key, ignore that, and then your Discord webhook. So simply put your Discord webhook here. You can click this to test it, but this will give you a notification whether or not you had a successful checkout, a payment decline, etc. So it'll tell you what's going on in your task page as an overall summary at the end. as well as desktop notifications. It does the same thing as the Discord notifications, except they don't stick there, so it'll be like payment successful in the bottom right hand corner of your PC or Mac, as well as current version. So that's the version that your bot is on. So check for updates right here. You always want to make sure on the latest version. If you open the bot, it'll automatically check for updates, so you shouldn't be too worried on having to check that all the time, unless you haven't closed it in a while. Contact support, that's if you want to contact cyber support, but I recommend you contact one of us first because we could probably fix the issue for you. But as well as the last two things, export everything and import everything. This is really good if you want to run for a restock on a specific thing, or you don't want to you want to save all of your tasks, because there is no way to export your tasks in Cyber. So you're going to want to click export everything and save that to whatever location you'd like, and then if you want everything to be back, so this includes your settings, your profiles, everything, your proxies, it'll all be there. So if when you're importing everything, everything will be reverted back to that last save that you exported everything in. As well as whenever you change monitor delay or retry delay, make sure you click save settings, so it pushes itself onto the tasks. That pretty much covers most of the basics of the bot. If you have any other questions regarding this, feel free to contact a support member. Have a good night.